We are the Gujarat Technological University. Since its inception over a decade ago, GTU has been empowering young and curating minds to realize their true potential. Over 4 lakh inspired students are enrolled with one of the premier academic universities in India. With more than 450 affiliated colleges in its fold operating across 5 zones of the state, GTU, the International Innovative University, your place to move forward.
Hello students, today we will discuss about the Q7 Good Manufacturing Practice Guidelines on active pharmaceutical ingredients. In this guideline, we will discuss about the several questions and answers for that. This guidance is specifically built for industry purpose by the US Department of Health and Human Services. And these are the contents in which we will see about the questions for each department, the what kind of different departments involved for the manufacturing of API operation that we will discuss. So directly headed towards the questions and answers. In that, if we will include the questions like, should GMP, that is a good manufacturing practice according to ICH Q7, be applied for manufacturing steps before the defined API starting material? Steps not identified in gray in table 1 that we will see. The answer will be ICH Q7 does not apply to steps prior to the introduction of API starting material. However, there is an expectation that then appropriate level of controls is suitable for the production of API starting material should be applied. So normally the API starting material, that is key starting material, is defined in the regulatory filing by the applicant and approved in the regulatory reviewing process. Additional guidance is provided to define and justify API starting material derived from various sources. So here the API starting material, that is key starting material, that is already defined in the regulatory filing. If the country is US, then DMF filing, that is drug master file, in that the clearly defined API starting material, that is key starting material, is there, and that is the under regulatory reviewing process. Question number 2, does ICH Q7 apply to manufacturing steps for addition of substance to an API? So answer will be when a mixture is classified in the regulatory filing, for example, a DMF file, drug master file, as an API in a region or country in which it is used in drug product, then ICH Q7 should be applied to the manufacturing of mixtures. So whatever the definition of API is there, if it is included the additional ingredient, then regulatory filing will show that the ingredient is there, and it has to be according to the manufacturing guideline, that is ICH Q7. Quality management, there is several terms are there, then that is our quality unit. So that this term independent is to prevent any conflict of interest and ensure unbiased decision making regarding quality related decisions in the organization structure. The person in the quality unit who is responsible for final decision making, for example batch release decision, should not have responsibility for production activities. So whatever the person involved for the final decision making, whether the batch is okay or not, that is different from the production activity, which is included in the paragraph 2.13. Okay. Does ICH Q7 expect that the quality unit performs API release testing? The answer will be, while the quality unit has responsibility for release of the API, which includes oversight of testing and results, ICH Q7 does not prescribe specifically who performs testing. The term quality unit, quality control in the ICH Q7 glossary refers to the activities, not the organizational structure. For example, quality responsibility related to testing and release refer to ICH Q7 paragraph 2.13, 2.22 and 11.12. Appropriate laboratory controls should be followed regardless of who performs the testing. Can other department outside of the quality unit be held responsible for testing raw materials and intermediate? The answer will be yes. The quality unit is responsible for establishing a system to release or reject raw materials, intermediates, packaging, and labeling materials. This responsibility cannot be delegated. The system established by the quality unit may allow other departments to release raw materials and intermediates, except intermediates that are for use outside the control of the manufacturer, as long as oversight and the overall responsibility of the system remains with the quality unit. And that is an important thing that the students may consider. The next question will be, does ICH-Q7 expect that sampling be performed by the quality unit? No. ICH-Q7 does not prescribe specifically who perform the sampling. However, the quality unit have the responsibility for reviewing and approving sampling plans and procedures. Sampling should be performed by adequately trained personnel who have the qualification and who have the training appropriate, and be appropriately documented as per ICH Q7 paragraph 6.52. Okay. What should be the frequency of product quality review? Now, this is an important question because the quality is very mandatory for the organization or any of the pharmaceutical manufacturing company. A product quality review is generally expected annually. Review timeframes can be appropriately adjusted based upon manufacturing and campaign duration with adequate justification. Even if no manufacturing has occurred in the review period, the quality review should be conducted for section ICH Q7 paragraph 2.50, and it includes stability, returns, complaints, and recalls. These are the things that is included in the paragraph 2.50. For example, a product quality review may encompass more or less than 12 months, depending upon product campaign duration. And section 3F 2.6 is applied. Should the product quality review of results include trend analysis? Now, this is an important question because trend analysis is usually an important element in verifying the consistency of the process as part of the product quality review. And potential tools to use are described in ICH Q9 Annexure 1.9. Personnel involved, and in that contains what is the intent of statement in ICH Q7 paragraph 3.12, training should be periodically assessed. In that, the statement training should be periodically assessed refers to a system to evaluate if person remain proficient and competent in their job task and responsibility, whether more frequent additional or new training is needed, and if recurring training is up to date. Does ICH Q7 expect the use of consultant, and can a company delegate a task and or responsibility to a consultant? ICH Q7 does not expect the use of consultant. Consultants may perform delegated tasks or provide advice. However, the ultimate responsibility for API quality must not be delegated. Next areas we will cover about the building and facilities. So in that we will see about the several questions. Out of that, answer will be included. When are dedicated product areas expected? The answer will be ICH Q7 expects dedicated production areas for highly sensitizing materials such as penicillins and cephalosporin because of the patient risk from trace amounts of these compounds to other medicines. For materials of inspections nature or high pharmacological activity or toxicology, a risk-based approach should be used to determine appropriate contaminant measures, which may include validated inactivation, cleaning, and or dedicated production areas. While ICH Q7 does not define high pharmacological activity or toxicity, these characteristics are generally determined by evaluating relevant animal and human data collected during research and development. Important consideration in this evaluation of pharmacological activity or toxicity may include occupational exposure limit, that is OEL, permitted daily dose PDE, acceptable daily exposure ADE, threshold or toxicological concern TTC, and observed adverse effect level, that is NOAE, and safety guidance, of course, ICH E2E, and the consequences of cross contamination, that is ICHQ9. These are the things that has to be there while assessing the high pharmacological activity or toxicity. To what extent can quality risk management be used in establishing appropriate contaminant measures to prevent cross contamination? The principles of quality risk management should be applied to the design of buildings and facilities and control for the purpose of containment, okay, taking into consideration the pharmacological and toxicological, chemical, biological properties of the raw materials, intermediate, and flows or API to be handled or manufactured. Appropriate containment measures and controls include but are not limited to the following: technical controls, dedicated production areas, closed dedicated heating, ventilation, and air conditioning system, closed manufacturing systems, use of disposable technologies, design of facilities and equipment for containment and easy of cleaning, and procedural controls, cleaning, personnel flow, environmental monitoring and training. Monitoring systems are important to check the effectiveness of the containment control. Process equipment for dedicated equipment is like cleaning, visually clean, expectable for verification of cleaning effectiveness. No expectation for a specific analytical determination. Visual clean may be expectable for dedicated equipment based on ability to visually inspect and sufficient supporting data for cleaning studies. For example, analytical determination to demonstrate the cleaning effectiveness. Equipment should be cleaned at appropriate intervals, time, or number of batches to prevent buildup and carryover of contaminants. Example, degradants or objectionable levels or of microorganisms, so that they do not adversely alter the quality of the API. Should acceptance criteria for residues be defined for dedicated equipment? Yes. Regardless of whether equipment is dedicated or not, it is expected that acceptance criteria for residues be defined and that the equipment be cleaned at appropriate intervals to prevent buildup and carryover of contaminants. Intervals can be based on number of batches, product change over time, etc. Cleaning intervals and acceptance criteria should be established based on an understanding of the process reactions, degradation, taking into account solubility, potency and toxicity, etc. Establishment of acceptance criteria does not necessarily imply sampling and testing after every cleaning. Visual inspection of the equipment for cleanliness is the expectation of ICH Q7 paragraph 5.21, where validation data has confirmed effective cleaning procedures should be monitored at appropriate intervals. According to paragraph 12.76, is it expected that equipment cleaning time limits be confirmed in cleaning validation? Yes. Equipment cleaning is addressed in two sections, ICH-Q7, although the cleaning validation does not specifically address time limits for cleaning. Paragraph 5.21 indicates that the maximum time interval between completion of processing and equipment cleaning should be established by the company or the organization. This maximum established dirty hold time is the time period for which evidence is available to demonstrate that the equipment can still be reliably cleaned. This maximum established dirty hold time is confirmed during the initial cleaning validation and can be extended with appropriate supporting data. Although ICH-Q7 does not specify the need for time limits between equipment cleaning and the use in next process, ICH-Q7 paragraph 5.1 does state that written procedures should include instruction for protection of clean equipment from contamination prior to use and inspection of equipment for cleanliness immediately before use if practicable. Is it expected that campaign manufacturing be addressed in cleaning validation? Yes. The cleaning validation section, ICH Q7 section 12G, does not specifically address campaign manufacturer. However, ICH Q7 paragraphs 5.23 and 8.50 set forth the expectation that equipment be clean and appropriate interval. For example, time or number of batches to prevent buildup and carryover of the contaminants so that they do not adversely alter the quality of API. The appropriate interval is confirmed during cleaning validation. At product changeover are both visual examination and analytical testing necessary to verify that the equipment is clean. So the answer will be appropriate cleaning validation verifies that the cleaning process is effective. During cleaning validation, both visual examination and analytical testing should be used to verify cleaning effectiveness. Once the cleaning process is over, means validated, routine monitoring of cleanliness of equipment at product changeover should include visual inspection, frequency of analytical testing to verify ongoing effectiveness of the validated cleaning process is determined by the API manufacturer using a risk-based approach. In situation where the cleaning process is not yet validated, both visual inspection, examination, and analytical testing are expected. Documentation and record. So, what is meant by completely distributed, which states that records should be retained for at least 3 years after the batch is completely distributed. That is for APIs with a retest date. ICH Q7 paragraph 6.13 states that records related to production, control, and distribution should be retained for at least 3 years after the API batch is completely distributed, which is understood as the complete distribution of the entire batch of the API by the API manufacturer to the next party in the supply chain. In the case of APIs handled by agents, brokers, traders, distributors, repackers, and resellers, complete distribution refers to the distribution of the received quantity of the batch of API. The intent of ICH Q7 is that records be retained for the period of time that the API could be on the market in order to investigate any problem and or product complaints based on accepted industry practice. At the time ICH Q7 was written, it was not anticipated that a manufacturer would set a retest time or date longer than 3 years. However, the use of at least 3 years in these sections of ICH Q7 covers longer record retention periods, which is in alignment with the basic GMP principle and or regional requirement that records be retained for the entire period the material is available on the market. It is good industry practice to consider retaining records for the period of time of the drug products in which the API was used may be available on the market. Does a batch numbering system need to be sequential? No. ICH Q7 paragraph 6.51 says only the batch production records should have a unique batch or ID number. Who is responsible for issuance of batch production records? ICH Q7 section 2C 2.3 does not specify who is responsible for the issuance of the batch production records, as long as the issuance process is described in writing and approved by the quality unit. That is essential. Now, materials management. Does the phrase grouping of containers have the same meaning in ICH Q7 paragraph 7.20 and 7.24? The phrase grouping of containers should be read in the context of each sentence. A grouping of containers refer to multiple containers physically secured by the supplier, usually intended for easy of shipment and reconciliation. ICH Q7 paragraph 7.20 is referring to incoming visual examination of materials before acceptance into the facility under quarantine. The phrase ICH Q7 paragraph 7.20 grouping of container contains an additional word of batches because this section is addressing establishments of batch traceability for the incoming material. So here the batch traceability is important for the additional word batches that is used in paragraph 7.24. What is expected in terms of evaluation of suppliers of material? Different phrases are used to describe the expectation for evaluation of supplier of material, including trade-offs, if any. ICH Q7 paragraph 7.12 states that all materials are purchased according to against specification and from suppliers approved by quality unit. Prior to approval of any supplier, the evaluation should be conducted using a race-based approach. ICH Q7, Q9, Appendix 2.5, ICH Q7, paragraph 7.31. More extensive evaluation is important for suppliers of those materials classified as critical. ICH Q7, paragraph 7.11. What is meant by full analysis on batches of raw materials to qualify the supplier? A full analysis should include all tests specified by the user of raw materials in the regulatory filing. In cases where no filing is required, the full analysis should include tests in other formal written specifications issued by the user of raw material. A raw material supplier certificate of analysis may not necessarily align with the user specification. So here certificate of analysis provided by the supplier or the vendor may not necessarily align with the user specification, means the manufacturer themselves. Are on-site audits required in the evaluation of suppliers? No. An on-site audit is not required. However, an on-site audit could be a useful tool in the evaluation of supplier. A risk assessment of the material or the service provided can be used to develop an audit strategy and manage the ongoing evaluation of suppliers. Which tests are considered to be identity tests? For incoming production materials, identity tests and related methods should be used as prescribed or as described in relevant sections of pharmacopoeia monograph in an approved regulatory filing or an in-house specification, including method and analytical procedure. When available, a discriminating test should be considered for identification testing. The visual examination of a label or material is not considered sufficient except in cases described in ICH Q7 and paragraph 7.32. So identity test is required for consideration. Is it possible to extend the expiry date or retest date of the raw material? What is acceptance criteria or the practice to determine how long it may be extended for? Manufacturing and labeling of the raw material for use by FAI manufacturers is outside the scope of ICH Q7. For this reason, retesting defined by ICH Q7 do not strictly apply to raw materials and may be used in a different manner by the raw material supplier. Expiry date is defined in glossary section 20 of the ICH Q7 applies specifically to the API. API manufacturers may re-evaluate and then use a raw material after the expiry and retest based on the appropriate specific and risk-based justification. For example, understanding of the material attributes, testing and stability. Similar justification may be used to extend the date by which the material should be re-evaluated. It is the responsibility of the API manufacturer to ensure the raw materials are appropriate for the intended use at the time of use. Production in process controls. Can yield change defined for the first batch differ from the later batches within a campaign? Yes. Differing yield regimes may be described and justified in the manufacturing process master batch record explaining the ranges. For example, the first batch in the series of production of batches of the same material campaign may leave residual material in the equipment, resulting in a low yield in the first batch and contributing to the increased yield in the second batch or the subsequent batch of the campaign. What is meant by appropriate specification prior to blending? As a principle, no batches with out of specification OOS results should be blended. Blending is defined in ICH Q7 paragraph 840. Individual, intermediate, and special API batches should demonstrate conformance with the field specification prior to blending. In regions or circumstances where there are intermediates in API that do not require filing, conformance with the release specification should be demonstrated. So, conformance with the release specification should be demonstrated before blending with the batches. Packaging and identification, labeling of the API and intermediates. There is no question and answer is there, but storage and distribution has. For example, what is mean by API and intermediates can be transferred under quarantine to another unit under the company's control? And is this applicable to contract manufacturers? ICQC on paragraph 1020 states APIs and intermediates should only be released for distribution to third parties after they have been released by the quality unit. APIs and intermediates can be transferred under quarantine to another unit under the company's control when authorized by the quality unit, and if appropriate controls and documentation are in place. The second sentence is IJQ7 paragraph 1020 describes a transport situation that are not considered distribution. It provides the physical movement, transfer, but not release of quarantine material to another unit. This unit can be on the same side, be on a different side, or be a contract manufacturer. The goal of transfer under quarantine is to allow transportation and testing in parallel. Material that is transferred under quarantine is not to be used for further processing until all testing and quality review is complete and the material is released by the quality unit is defined in quality ICHQ7 paragraph 222. This provision for transfer under quarantine is included in ICHQ7 for situation where a company is shipping API or intermediate from one unit to the another has both. First one is the need for expedite the shipping, and second one is material management system in place to prevent use of material before the full release. Examples of circumstances where transfer under quarantine may be necessary include extraordinary supply chain requirement. For example, short shelf life and materials with a lengthy time frame for required tests. For example, some microbial biological tests. With appropriate oversight, as described ICH 10 section 3G 2.7, including a written agreement as described in ICH Q7 paragraph 1612 and appropriate ongoing controls, a contract manufacturers may be considered a unit under the company's control. There is a joint responsibility for both parties to clearly justify and document the need to transfer the unreleased intermediate or API and to ensure appropriate control is maintained to prevent the use before full release. Now we are coming to the laboratory controls. What is expected in terms of impurity for APIs extracted from herbal and animal tissue origin? In cases where API itself is the extract from the herbal and animal tissue preparation, all constituents of the extract might be considered to be the part of API. Therefore, the production process related impurities profile, except for example, solvents used in the process would generally not be expected. However, for all APIs derived from herbal and animal sources, the testing limits for possible contaminants and originating from these sources, pesticides, microviruses, and herbicides, and elemental impurities and wrong species should be established based on a risk assessment. So, in cases where herbal and animal sources provide material that is further processed to yield a chemically defined API, all constituents other than API are considered impurities. In this situation, the API manufacturers would be expected to establish an impurity profile as well as the API release specification that would include impurity limits. In any case, it is the API manufacturer's responsibility to establish batch release specifications for APIs to ensure that they are safe and of high quality, consistent with appropriate regulatory requirements, applicable competitive specifications, and regional expectations. In cases where an API test method is changed, which method should be tested for stability studies and already in process? Now this is the most important questions because the company should decide and justify the decision of which method to use. All test methods for stability studies should be validated and demonstrated to be stability indicating prior to use ICHQ7. Now this is very important. It is the responsibility of company that should decide and justify the decision of which method to use. All test methods for stability studies should be validated and demonstrated to be stability indicating method. Means all the test methods should be stability indicating prior to use. according to ICH Q7 paragraph 11.51. Any changes to stability test methods should be documented. Applicability of changes to the existing stability studies should be assessed and may require filing in accordance with regional requirement for post-approval changes. Now, this is included in the ICH Q7 paragraph 13.11. Post-approval changes required during the stability studies that may alter the method. Likewise, what is it acceptance for API manufacturer to extend the API retest date? The purpose of the retest is to ensure that the API is still suitable for use. The API manufacturer can extend the retest date of the specific batch based on the good science and long-term stability results for the API and testing of the specific batch that has been stored according to the labeling requirement. In some regions, the regulatory authority approval of the retest date extensions for the batch may be required. If an API manufacturer wants to change the retest date for future batches of the API, then the manufacturer should conduct a stability testing sufficient to support the change and include the new test date, retest date, and supporting data in the regulatory filing is determined by regional requirements. What is meant by completely distributed in ICH Q7? So completely distributed refers to the distribution of the entire batch of the API by the API manufacturer to the next party in the supply chain. It should be noted that in this 3-year retention of the reserve, retention samples applies to all parties that physically processed or repackage the API. So here repackaging is also included in the ICH Q7 Glossary section 20, the definition of manufacturer. The intent of ICH Q7 is that samples be retained and for the period of time that the API could be in the market in order to investigate any problems or product complaints. Based on the accepted industry practice at the time ICH Q7 was written, it was not anticipated that the manufacturers would set a retest date longer than 3 years. It is the basic GMP principle that reserve sample be retained for the entire period the material is available on the market. For example, if a company sets a retest date of 5 years and the API is completely distributed immediately after manufacturing, it is not intended that the reserve sample be destroyed before 5-year retest is reached. Why does ICH Q7 permit the use of packaging system for reserved retention samples that is more protective than the marketed packaging system? Unlike stability samples, the purpose of reserve retention sample is not to represent the quality of the batch in the marketplace, but to allow the future evaluation of the quality of the original API batch in evaluation of potential counterfeits. Therefore, reserve retention samples may be stored in packaging that better preserve the original state of the API. Validation. Is the lifecycle approach to process validation acceptable for API under ICH Q7? Yes, ICH Q7 does not preclude the lifecycle approach. ICH Q7 paragraph 12, 10, ICH Q7, Q10, ICH Q11 also. Can the range of process parameters be extended based only on the process deviations? No. However, information from the investigation into a process deviations can be used to support expanding the range of process parameter. Additional work and studies are normally needed to adequately demonstrate that the expanded range for the process parameter consistently produces API of necessary quality. Would additional process validation studies be needed to support a change in the source of API starting material? Any changing in the API starting material should be assessed for impact on API manufacturing process and resulting API quality. Additional validation studies of API process may be warranted if the change in the API starting material is deemed significant. In most cases, validation would be expected for a different source of starting material unless otherwise justified.
is a retrospective approach to validation is still acceptable. Prospective validation is normally expected for processes introduced since the publication of ICH-Q7. The concept of retrospective validation remains acceptable as a exception for existing well-established products prior to the implementation of ICH-Q7. If regulatory discussions redefine a step as a critical, which had previously been considered non-critical, a protocol describing retrospective analysis of data together with the commitment for concurrent or prospective validation may be an option. Regardless of the type of validation, the quality system should confirm the ongoing robustness of the process. For example, product quality review. Change control. Who is responsible for notifying the drug manufacturer about relevant changes in the API manufacturing? Each party in the supply chain is responsible for transferring information related to quality or regulatory changes to the next customer in the supply chain. The intention is that the information is transformed along the supply chain to the product manufacturer in a timely manner. Rejection and reuse of material. Should rejected material be stored under physical or secure segregation? ICHQ7 does not specify a need for physical and secure segregation. Both paragraphs include the provision for the use of alternative control systems for storage of rejected material. Whatever control system is used, the purpose should be to prevent the unintentional or unauthorized use of rejected material. Does the definition of expiry date in the ICH-Q7 preclude the rework or reprocess of an expired API? According to the definition, material should not be used after the expiry date. The original intent of this definition in ICH-Q7 was that expired API should not be used in the drug product in formulation. It may be acceptable to process the expired API where the API manufacturer has all related historical GMP documentation and additional stability data on the reworked or reprocessed API. There may be registration filing consideration that are beyond the scope of ICH-Q7 in addition to the GMP consideration. Is validation expected for the recovery of the material from the mother liquor? It depends. The recovery of the material from the mother liquor is a process, and the need for validation should be assessed as for any other process step. Recovery of the material from the mother liquor is any process step that must be controlled within predetermined criteria to ensure the API meets the specification and is by definition a critical process step should be validated. For example, recovery of the API from mother liquor would be considered a critical process step and should be validated. Complaints and recalls. Can quality defects of release APIs that are identified another entity belonging to the same company be handled outside the API manufacturer complaint procedure? Yes. After the release of API for further use, any identified quality defect should be investigated and addressed according to API manufacturer complaint system or equivalent. Where equivalent system are used, such defects should be categorized in a manner that provides clear visibility that the defect was discovered after being released by the API side. Must a quality related return at the request of the API manufacturing site from another site within the same company be recorded as a recall? No, provided that no portion of the batch left direct control of the company for the sale or use. The return must be clearly visible in the API site's quality system as a return triggered by the API manufacturing side. So this defect is clear in quality system trend reporting and in the product quality life cycle. Product quality review. Contract manufacturers. Does ICH-Q7 preclude a contract manufacturer's independent quality unit from performing the main responsibility as described in ICH-Q7? No. The original intent of the section 2B 2.2 was to establish the main responsibilities. For example, batch record review, review of the non-conformances or investigations, sampling, testing, release or rejection of intermediate or API of the independent quality unit from other departments within the company. Contract manufacturers are extended to have the independent quality unit that meets the responsibility defined in ICH Q7. Given the potential complexity of outsourcing contract manufacturing arrangements, GMP responsibilities should be clearly defined between both parties in detail in a written agreement. However, the overall responsibility of API quality must not be delegated. Which outsourced activity are covered by ICHQ7? In the context of ICHQ7, contract manufacturing is the outsource activity. The term outsource activity is as defined and described in ICHQ10 3G 2.7 and glossary aligns with the description of contract manufacturing in ICHQ7. ICHQ7 defines manufacture as all operations or of receipt of materials, production, packaging, repackaging, labeling, quality control, release, storage, and distribution of API and related controls. Related controls include any activities or services necessary to support production, for example, maintenance and calibration. ICH Q7 applies to any activities performed by the original manufacturer or the company that is performing the activity on behalf of the original manufacturer. What is meant by where subcontracting is allowed? Subcontracting is used in ICH Q7 paragraph 1614 refers to the acceptors further contracting out a specific activity to another party. This should only be done when the written and approved contract, as described in ICHQ7 paragraph 1612, specifically allows for such subcontracting. Even when subcontracting is allowed, the original contract giver should approve specific subcontracting before it occurs as stated in ICHQ7. Agents, brokers, traders, distributors, repackers, and resellers. What does ICHQ7 mean by agents, brokers, and these are things? Regardless of the what terms are used in different regions, ICHQ7 applies to all parties in the supply chain after the original API intermediate manufacturer to the drug product manufacturer in order to maintain the integrity, traceability, and transparency of the supply chain. Could a distributor of an API engage a contract manufacturer for production step? No. If a distributor of an API out production steps, for example, drying, micronizing, milling, and sieving, then the distributor becomes a manufacturer and is subject to the entirely of ICHQ7. This provision includes but is not limited to appropriate written agreements as stated in ICHQ7, paragraph 1612, defining responsibility of each party. In addition, these contracted production steps must be described in registration documents, applications, or equivalents for regional requirement. Is it acceptable to replace an original label which contains the information of the original manufacturer? Any relabeling operations are considered manufacturing by definition and should be performed under appropriate GMP controls. With appropriate justification, manufacturer, including repackagers and relabelers, may replace the original label as so long as information about the original manufacturer is provided to the customers and the traceability of the supply chain needs is maintained. The new label should contain information as per the ICHQ7 paragraphs 940 to 943. However, distributors should not remove the original label but only add additional labels. These are the questions. You can open the ICHQ7 guideline for question and answer. Refer to that here. Uh, Roll it out for you. And this is the annexure that how different the departments are involved in the quality and assurance department question and answer analogs. And these are the references. End of the lecture. Thank you.